Hey y'all, welcome back to Movement Link. So I just want to spend a few minutes here talking about the receiving position of the clean. We want to receive that bar completely on us. And what happens with a lot of new people is they're so worried about hitting their collarbone. They're so just worried about everything, and they just haven't gotten enough practice yet, really, that they're a little worried. How many times can I say worried? Just about going straight to that front rack. So what we see them do is they catch the bar in their hands, and there's just so much negative things that can come with that. So let's just talk about the negatives of catching it in your hands real fast. What it looks like is as I come up, I catch it in my hands. One, right there, this exposes my collarbone. So not only is the weight sitting in my wrists, it's putting a lot of pressure on my wrist. Not only am I having to use a lot of muscle to hold that bar there, but the edge of my collarbone is exposed, and that's what really hurts. So what happens to people is they kind of do a half front rack, holding it hard to protect themselves, and it smacks their collarbone and it hurts, and that makes them hold it more and more in their hands, whereas really counterintuitive, but we want to let go a little bit and really drive those elbows up, and the more we do this, the softer of a landing it actually has, but it's real counterintuitive for new people. The other thing to keep in mind is as we start squatting lower and lower and lower to go receive the bar, if we're catching it here, we have a leg in the way, and we have a bone, and we have a lot of weight. So it has happened, but people can break their forearms doing a clean by receiving it with the elbows down, running into this, and something's got to give, and sometimes it's that forearm. So it's nasty things. It's hard to imagine. You don't want to deal with that stuff. So absolutely, there are some inherent risks in everything, but the risk in the clean is that we need to learn how to get the elbows up, especially if we're going to be squatting. If we're doing power cleans, much easier to get away with this stuff. But if we're going to be doing regular cleans, we need to learn. It's actually really easy once you get it, but we need to learn how to get those elbows up to be safe. Okay, so first, let's talk about one thing. One of the biggest kind of barriers to entry here is what people imagine is happening here. And they think they have this bar that's coming down and landing on them. And that's not the case. So what we're doing, and we talk about this in a lot of our clean videos, is we're driving the bar up. As we do that, the bar is going to go slower and slower and slower as it goes zero. If we did nothing, it would go faster and faster and faster as it hit the ground just because of gravity. That's just how the acceleration works. So what we're trying to do in the clean is we're trying to catch it at its highest point. So it's going slower, 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 zero. That's where we're trying to get it. Or if it's lighter, you jump it higher, it's going slower and slower and slower, zero. Here's its highest point. That's where we're trying to go get it. So we're not trying to get under it and have this thing crash on us. We're trying to get it at its 0 point. So what that looks like is as I'm coming up here, it's not this thing crashing on me. And you can see my hand has relaxed. It went straight to my front rack position. And notice how I can still breathe, I can still talk. It actually becomes real comfortable. As soon as I do this, I feel collarbone, this hurts. And then as soon as I do this, it's wrist and a lot of shoulder. So it doesn't look more comfortable and it's a little more scary, but once you get there, it's so much more comfortable. So one of the first things I have new people do when we're talking about front rack for front squats and cleans and things is I just have them take their hand, put it above their collarbone, and I have them just push into their neck. And what this does is it's weird. First of all, I know how weird it is. So it's weird, but what it shows them is that you can have pressure on your neck and you can still breathe. Obviously, we don't want to hold it too long, and we don't want you going on the sides, more right on the front where that windpipe is, because you can see you can still breathe. So it's not about cutting air off and just dealing with it. It actually becomes real comfortable. So the image I want y'all to have in your head is that we're trying to catch the bar at its highest point. So we're not going to squat clean if the bar is up here. We're going to get that bar. If you want to get it and then squat afterwards, go for it. But we're pulling to go get that bar at its highest point, wherever that highest point is. The heavier it is, it'll be lower. The lighter it is, it's gonna be higher. But we wanna go straight to that front rack because it's not this thing that's landing on you. It's this thing that's floating going 0 miles an hour. So you can imagine that it's sitting on a rack. That's going 0 miles an hour, and you just walk up to it and get into a rack position. So that's what we're doing. Just mentally, it's really hard to get over that block. So I hope this video helps you kind of do that. A great way to practice now is ditch the weight off. I'm just gonna keep it on, but ditch the weight off, grab just a barbell, and we're gonna do what are called muscle cleans. This is, we need to throw kind of the disclaimer out here. So remember, in the clean, we're driving it up, and then we're pulling on the bar to pull our body down. In a muscle clean, we're doing the opposite. We're driving it up, and then we're staying up as we pull the weight up and wrap around. So we can do a regular clean with so much more weight than we could muscle clean. But the great thing about a muscle clean is it can warm up the arm pull, and it can really help you practice that real fast rack position. So what it's gonna look like is you'll just come up and rack it. Come up and rack it. And what it helps people do is now it's clearly not a bar smashing them, and it makes them a lot better at pulling the bar to their neck and wrapping around, which is what we want to do when we do the regular clean. Pull to our neck, wrap around, and then stand up with it. Hope this helps. Talk to y'all soon.